Hello and welcome to another Newsphere live stream brought to you by Freedom Media WA, where we cut through the noise and bring you the stories that legacy mainstream media won't. And today I'm going to dive into a topic that strikes at the heart of democracy, that is holding our electoral officials accountable. What happens when mainstream media drops the ball and fails to report when a member of parliament misleads the very institution designed to represent the people? That's you who put them there. Democracy thrives on transparency, accountability, and an informed citizenry. But when elected officials play fast and loose with the facts, it erodes the trust in our democratic institutions, the parliament. And the media roles here is crucial. It's not just about sensationalism. It's about making sure that you, the voting public, are in the know. When misinformation goes unreported, citizens left in the dark about their elected representatives' actions. But let's get real. The legacy mainstream media, when they have a stake in the game, whether it's protecting their interest or chasing ratings, it's a whole different story. And a case in point is the Federal Finance Minister, Katy Gallagher, the force behind pushing you into the digital dictatorship, accused of misleading the Australian Senate about her knowledge of Brittany Higgins' rape allegation. Let's just have a little look how mainstream media have played this one out.
I'm David Spears. Welcome to Insiders. The opposition spent much of the week pursuing what it reckons is the first integrity scandal to hit the government.
The Finance Minister is tonight standing firm, declaring defiantly she did not mislead the Senate over the Brittany Higgins rape allegation.
It claims Finance Minister Katy Gallagher misled Parliament when she denied any prior knowledge of the Brittany Higgins rape allegation before it was made public.
Arriving for a showdown in the Senate, the embattled Finance Minister about to fight back.
I did not mislead the Senate.
Katy Gallagher denying she coordinated with Brittany Higgins to go public with a rape allegation against a former Liberal staffer.
Any allegation or assertion that I did is wrong and I reject it in the strongest possible terms.
But she confirmed she had learned details of the accusation before it was aired.
I was provided with information in the days before the allegations were first reported.
But setting aside the sensitive issue of the rape allegation, because the core of this stream is about elected officials misleading Parliament. And should there be a hierarchy in how we view these instances? It's a question worth asking. And here's the kicker. When there's alleged incident of misleading, the Speaker presiding over the investigation is often aligned with the majority government. So yep, they're judging one of their own. And in the current news landscape, if legacy mainstream media don't cover it, the chances are that you won't hear it. Most people rely on news to stay informed about our government. And if instances of MPs misrepresenting Parliament aren't reported, how can you, the voting public, make informed decisions as to how you're going to vote at these next elections? Just over 2 weeks ago in Western Australian Parliament, there was an exchange that reeked of trickery between the Minister of Emergency Services, Stephen Dawson, and the WA Liberal Party member, Nick Goiran. Any potential misleading in Parliament deserves media coverage, especially when it involves trickery. Democracy is poorly served when the legacy mainstream media outlets in Western Australia, falling short of conspiring not to tell you about this, well, they won't tell you, so I will. So let's dive into this little package that we've put together so that you can decide if West Australian Labor Minister Stephen Dawson has misled Parliament. Here we go.
Are there any member statements?
President.
The Honourable Nick Goiran.
Deputy President, I rise to draw to your attention a false answer given during question time today by the Honourable Stephen Dawson, Minister for Emergency Services, who regrettably is away from the chamber on urgent parliamentary business. The question that was asked of the Minister in his capacity representing the Minister for Corrective Services was whether the Minister was aware of a research report And the answer that has been provided today, Deputy President, was...
Minister for Emergency Services.
Thanks, President, and I thank the honourable member for some notes to the question. The following information has been provided to me by the Minister for Corrective Services. 1, no.
Now that answer must be false. There is no doubt in my mind, in drawing this to your attention, Deputy President, that that answer must be false. And the reason that I am so certain to draw this to your attention and ask you and or the President to consider this over the coming recess is because, Deputy President, on the 21st of September this year, I asked that same minister a question in respect to that very same research report. And, Deputy President, the response that was provided by the Minister for Emergency Services, representing the Minister for Corrective Services, was as follows, and I quote, this is question without notice number 1156. I thank the honourable member for some notice of the question. This is the Honourable Stephen Dawson, of course, speaking at this time, Deputy President, and goes on to say...
Honourable member, this is the first time I've seen the answer. It was in somebody else's file. So the answer is this question falls under the Corrective Services portfolio and the Minister for Corrective Services is unable to answer for the Attorney-General. The Minister requires the question to be referred to the Minister for Corrective Services to respond accordingly. He should have given that answer. I'll get you an answer for the next sitting day.
Now, Deputy President, this was on the 21st of September 2023. Obviously, the Honourable Stephen Dawson knew of this research report on that particular day, albeit in a representative capacity. When we were next sitting, Deputy President, the Honourable Stephen Dawson decided in a very shifty fashion to not provide the answer orally in the House, but instead to table the answer. The answer was tabled on the 10th of October 2023 in response to that same research report. And he says, the Honourable Stephen Dawson, in a representative capacity at that time, in this tabled answer, which is another issue I wish to draw to your attention in a moment, Deputy President, he says...
And President, I would like to provide an answer to the Honourable Nick Goiran's question without notice 1156, asked on the 21st of September, which I tabled.
That document is tabled.
And I quote, I thank the honourable member for some notice of the question. The following information has been provided to me by the Minister for Corrective Services. Noting that this question refers to the previous minister, I understand that a briefing was provided. As I was not involved in the meeting, further details are unable to be provided to the honourable member. Deputy President, obviously, the Honourable Stephen Dawson and also the Minister for Corrective Services were aware of this research report as at the day that the Minister for Corrective Services signed the answer that was tabled by the Honourable Stephen Dawson. It's dated Monday the 9th of October 2023. Deputy President, in accordance with my notes and records, it was tabled in this House the following day. So it was obviously the case that the Honourable Stephen Dawson and the Minister for Corrective Services knew about this at least as early as the 10th of October this year. You cannot then have a Minister of the Crown come into the House today and say, no, they're unaware of that particular report. The parliamentary record reflects that they are aware of the report. Now, it makes a complete mockery of the system to have a minister say one thing one day and then the opposite the next day with no explanation provided. This is no trivial matter, Deputy President. Let me draw to your attention what the Honourable Sue Ellery had to say about a similar circumstance on the 17th of March 2016, when also an answer was provided to the House, no, when actually the answer was yes. And the Honourable Sue Ellery said this, and I quote from Hansard, 17th of March 2016, in providing any answer, every minister and parliamentary secretary is responsible for the answer they give, irrespective of the fact that the answer may be prepared by staff and signed off by the responsible minister, in this case the Premier. Every answer given is in fact the answer of the person giving it to the House, whether in a representative capacity or not. The answer given to the question was the answer of the Leader of the House. There is a trend for parliamentary secretaries in this House who answer questions in a representative capacity to give answers prefaced by expressions like the Department for X advisors or the Minister for X advisors. Those prefaces do not absolve the person from ensuring that they are confident the answer is correct. If in doubt, do not give the answer. Those prefaces do not alter the fact that the answers are theirs in this House. That's what the Honourable Sue Ellery had to say on the 17th of March 2016. That particular matter was then referred to the Procedure and Privileges Committee for an investigation. So Deputy... Honourable Leader of the House, you would know, having been here for a very long time, that it is entirely within order for a member to draw something like this to the attention of the presiding officer. That is what I'm doing at this particular time.
You need to refer it. If that's what you want to do.
Is that what the standing orders say? There is an obligation on my part to refer it. You know that that's not true, so stop with your not only unruly interjections but inaccurate ones.
Order.
Now, Deputy President, what I'm asking, I'm drawing to your attention and to the President's attention through you, whether a false answer...
So I'm just going to jump in there, and as you can see, Sue Ellery, she's the leader of the Legislative Council right there. That's her, I guess, gaslighting the Honourable Nick Goiran there, because the Minister Steve Dawson is not in the chamber. So she's going to bat or defend for one of her own. But you can see that the point that we've made, what do you think so far? Let's get back into it.
Answer has been given in this particular instance. Whether the House ought to be concerned about that, was the person responsible the Minister for Emergency Services or the Minister for Corrective Services? And the other matter, Deputy President, that I wish for you to consider at this time is it permissible for a Minister to table an answer? Is it permissible? Now, if it is permissible for a Minister to table an answer, I don't know why we bother to go through the charade of question time. We may as well just simply give notice of the questions, and every responsible Minister or Parliamentary Secretary simply stand up and table the answer and we'll move to the next person. It would certainly be a far more efficient system. Now, Deputy President, I'd like to know, when we resume, is it permissible for that to happen? Now, if it is permissible, is it conventional? And more to the point, as the presiding officer, do you and the President think that it is desirable? Is it desirable to have a Minister of the Crown table a response? Now, as I say, Deputy President, the response at that time indicates that the Minister here and the Minister in the other place obviously knew that this research report exists. Now, this, Mr. Deputy President, has to do with a research report prepared by the Institute of Public Affairs in March of this year. I've been pursuing this matter since March of this year. I draw to your attention and to the Honourable President's question without notice 298, which I asked on in and around the 15th of March this year, as well as the matter that I referred to earlier, the 21st of September. This particular report from the Institute of Public Affairs in March of this year advocates for the introduction of work-focused community service orders for all non-violent and non-sexual offenders who are prepared to work full-time. In other words, translation for those who need it, Deputy President, there are people who are incarcerated who are referred to as non-violent and non-sexual offenders. This report is asking, are those people best served to continue to be incarcerated, or is it possible to put them to work? A genuine policy question that ought to be considered by honourable members, especially those within government. This is why since March of this year, Deputy President, I've drawn this serious matter to the attention of the Minister for Corrective Services. I accept that during that time there was a change in the Minister of Corrective Services. But at the end of the day, Deputy President, it doesn't change this material fact. The Honourable Stephen Dawson and the Minister for Corrective Services were both well aware of this report since at least the 10th of October 2023. I would argue that the Minister for Corrective Services knew about it from the 9th of October 2023. Why? Because that's his signature here on this document. And I would argue that the Honourable Stephen Dawson knew about it from at least the 21st of September 2023 when he said in this place in response to my question, I will get the member an answer for the next sitting day. Deputy President, I draw these matters respectfully to your attention and also to the Honourable President, and I would like it considered over the coming recess.
Before I give the call to the next member, I just want to respond to a number of matters raised by the Honourable Nick Goiran. One was the Honourable Nick Goiran sought some advice in relation to the tabling of answers during question time. There's obviously clear standing orders in relation to the tabling of papers, but he asked a broader question around conventions, and for that reason I will ask the President to consider the issues that the member has raised and report to the House as she sees fit. With respect to the issue that the Honourable Nick Goiran has raised with respect to an answer he received in question time today, there is a fine but a clear line between raising or taking issue with an answer that you have been provided and making a claim that a member has misled the House. If it is the latter, the member should rise under Standing Order 93, which relates to matters of privilege, and formally refer the matter to the President for her consideration.
Remember, the one thing that incoming Premier Roger Cook did back in June this year was that he stripped the Corrective Services Minister, Bill Johnson, of the problem-plagued portfolio of the Corrective Services. So that was then handballed off to Paul Papilla, who has also had a debacle royale over the Unit 18 here in Western Australia, the Banksia Hill Juvenile Detention Centre. Now, given that Parliament sat last Thursday for the last time this year, it would then be what is the likelihood of Nick Goiran getting an answer this year? It won't probably be until when Parliament rises back again here in Western Australia, which will be around the first week of February, as I understand it. So now the question that I asked in the beginning of the stream is to consider, is there or should there be a hierarchy? If an MP misleads Parliament at one level, is one looked at as less severe or not as severe as the other? And I would put to you that the answer to that should be no. If an MP has misled Parliament, then he's misled Parliament, which means he's misled the Crown, he's misled the public, which is you and all of those people that voted to represent him. And as you've just seen in the package there, the trickery around tabling the answer rather than standing up, because had Stephen Dawson tabled the answer on that day, then Nick Goiran, who would have been in the House at the time, would have been able to stand up and go, hang on a minute, you gave an answer earlier this morning and you're now tabling an answer that competes very much with the answer that you just gave this morning. So I just wanted to bring you this particular package of what happened a couple of weeks ago here in Western Australia. That's looking at and comment below as to what you've seen. I've seen a few of your comments come through. Do you think from what you've just seen then that Nick Goiran has the receipts on the WA Labor Emergency Services Minister Steve Dawson misleading Parliament? And I can see Rob is just coming in there saying misleading is misleading. It doesn't matter which way you dice it, that's exactly how it appears. And the question that I also posed at the beginning of this stream is, why is there media silence? West Australian legacy mainstream media, your Channel 2, your Channel 7, your Channel 9, your Channel 10, why are they silent on this issue? Now, the matter that Nick Goiran was following up, you may have a different difference of opinion in relation to that. A person who's been sentenced and goes to prison for a non-violent, non-sexual offence, Nick Goiran's essentially pushing to say that we should be putting those people to work as part of their rehabilitation, and has been part of a report looking at all of that. So, but the fact of the matter is that because he's been following up on this issue, he has caught out, in my view, from what you've just seen, Stephen Dawson misleading Parliament. And the question would also then be, is what other instances has there been of Parliament being misled and everything is just going through the keeper? So in my view, absolutely fantastic, and good on Nick Goiran for playing with a straight bat and to ensure that that nothing is getting through. But he can't be in Parliament, for every minute that on everything. He has a number of things to cover. So there we go. Comments coming through, and I can see there that somebody's saying, well done to Nick Goiran. And I will also just add this as well, which is something that we're going to be doing going forward into the new year, is that we will be contacting, when we're doing these particular pieces, in order for fairness, we will be contacting, in this case, Stephen Dawson's office or himself, because it would be highly unlikely that I'll get directly through to him, as well as Nick Goiran. Now, I've done that. I've sent and that's why I was ready to roll this story out, but I wanted to just take the time, in fairness, to await a response. And it has been absolutely no response, not even a "we don't wish to comment, the matter is before Parliament to be decided" from the Emergency Services Minister, Steve Dawson. The fact is, we have made contact, we've asked for comment in relation to this. Does he look to address the potential, or accept that it may appear on the face of it that he's been either misled Parliament or been provided with misinformation, which has given him that or put him in the position that he said. But as you also just heard with Nick Goiran saying, back in a 2016 matter, where Cyril said it doesn't matter whether you're given the misinformation. If you are the Member of Parliament standing on your feet in Parliament giving that answer, it's taken as though you are the principal offender, if you like, for the misleading of Parliament. It's a bit like the old bank robber, the getaway driver who drives the bank robbers away from the scene. He is charged as though he walked into the bank and said, "Hand over your money." That is the same essence of Stephen Dawson answering on behalf of the Emergency Services Minister. So, and some comments coming through that, and people, I get people are certainly, disenfranchised with what's going on in Parliament. I watch a lot of this so that you don't have to, and I haven't seen any opportunities, certainly in the last 6 to 8 months, come to light where it's absolutely on toast. That on the material facts, which Nick Goiran said, suggests that Stephen Dawson has misled Parliament. Where is mainstream media on this? So that is what I wanted to bring you on this stream. Thank you to those that have commented. I'm almost getting there with the tech issues, just when I think I've just about got it sorted. And it all comes down to updating little firmware things on this. There's so many buttons and computer scripting that goes there, and I'm simply trying to make sure that when you're watching the packages that I'm not having anything of my shirt or anything like that coming across on the audio. So on that note, I'm going to sign off on the stream. Thank you for the comments, and continue with those to see what you think. But Rob has pretty much nailed it on the head. Misleading is misleading. So enjoy the rest of your day wherever you find yourself. Thank you for watching.
Brought to you by Freedom Media WA, where journalism should never be a government narrative.